Hey everyone, and welcome back to the next episode in the Symfony Command Series 2025. So, new approach this time around. I recorded the whole thing first, then went back, watched it again, and now I'm trying to remember exactly what I did so I can give you a quick breakdown. Without any further rambling, let's dive straight in. We're heading over to the official Symfony.com website to grab the latest CLI installation commands. First up, the command to create a new Symfony project. So let's open our terminal, navigate to our project directory, paste in that command, and go. We can just specify the new project name right in the command. Symfony will automatically create a new directory with that name inside our root folder. Nice and simple. No need to manually create the folder beforehand. All right, let's run it and get our new Symfony project up and running. All right, now that Symfony has created our new project folder, let's cd into it so we can continue setting things up. Once we're inside the project directory, we'll run the next command to install the full web app package, which brings in everything we need for a standard Symfony application setup. Since we're using the Apache example for our web server, we'll need to add the Symfony/Apache pack as well. Honestly, I can't remember exactly where it's listed on the Symfony site, so let's just do a quick Google search to find the right command, copy it, and run it. All right, next up, we're going to make use of the Symfony Stimulus bundle along with Webpack Encore. Now here's the tricky part. By default, Symfony includes the new AssetMapper when you install the web app package. But since we're going with Webpack for asset management in this series, we'll need to remove the AssetMapper before continuing. Let's take care of that cleanup first so we don't run into conflicts down the line. Okay, with AssetMapper out of the way, we can move on to setting up Webpack Encore. Now, interesting update. The Symfony website recently added some new guidance about this exact setup. They recommend temporarily removing Symfony AssetMapper and the UX Turbo and UX Stimulus bundles if you're planning to use Webpack instead. Makes total sense. And honestly, it's way cleaner than the workaround I used to do back when we first ran into those conflicts between AssetMapper and Webpack. So instead of installing everything step by step, we'll run a single composer command that handles all of that, removes what we don't need, and installs Webpack Encore, including UX Turbo and UX Stimulus, all in one go. Pretty cool. Let's go ahead and run that now. Go ahead. All right, just to make sure everything is properly wired up with Webpack, let's run npm install. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure of everything it does behind the scenes, but it's one of those habits I stick to, especially after adding new node modules like Bootstrap, jQuery, or any other front-end tools. Right after that, I usually run npm audit fix, just to patch up any known vulnerabilities in the package tree before we move on. It helps keep things a bit cleaner and avoids warnings or issues during development. All right, let's fire off those commands and get our dependencies in place. Okay, let's switch over to our new Symfony project in PhpStorm so we can start editing the asset files and update our webpack.config.js. This is where we'll set things up for Bootstrap, jQuery, and any other front-end packages we plan to use. Let's jump in and get our assets structured the way we want them. Quick side note here. If you look at the bottom right corner of PhpStorm, you'll see a little prompt asking if you want to enable the Symfony plugin. I'm going to enable it now, and I'll also show you exactly where you can add the Symfony plugin manually if you ever need to. Just head over to Settings, Plugins, search for Symfony, install it, and don't forget to also install the PHP Annotations plugin. That's what makes all the Symfony-specific features work properly in PhpStorm. After adding them, just restart PhpStorm, and you'll be ready to go with all the nice Symfony tooling. All right, just waiting on PhpStorm to finish indexing our new project. It takes a moment, but that's normal. Just let it do its thing so all the tools and features kick in properly. Once it's done, we'll carry on with setting up our assets and tweaking the configuration. As you can see, Symfony has already created a few starter files inside the Assets folder, ready to go out of the box. We'll still need to configure a few things and bring in some additional front-end tools, like Bootstrap, jQuery, maybe a few others, depending on what we need for the project. Once everything's in place, we'll be ready to build the Webpack and get our front-end assets compiled. All right, let's head over to getbootstrap.com so we can grab the latest version. We'll copy the recommended npm install command from their docs and run it right here in our terminal to add Bootstrap to our project. This will give us all the Bootstrap styles and components we need to start building out the UI. All right, now that we're on getbootstrap.com, let's grab the install command for Bootstrap. We'll also need it Popper.js/core, since Bootstrap relies on Popper for things like dropdowns, tooltips, and other interactive components. Funny thing though, while watching this back, I totally missed that the install command was right there on the Bootstrap website. Did you spot it? Yep, just sit back and watch me search all over for it, like it's some hidden treasure. Classic moment. Brain went full memory mode instead of just reading the screen. Anyway, we've got what we need now. Let's run the install and keep moving. All right, now let's grab a few additional tools we'll need. We're heading to the NPM website to get packages like Sass Loader, File Loader, and jQuery, and then to the Bootstrap site for Bootstrap icons. These are the usual suspects when working with Webpack and Symfony, especially if you're building a custom UI with things like SCSS, file uploads, or modern icon sets. So let's go ahead and run those install commands one by one. I'll list them out in the helper notepad as well for quick reference later. Let's get everything set up before we move on to configuring Webpack. All right, let's jump into our webpack.config.js file and start tweaking a few things. First up, let's enable Sass Loader so Webpack knows how to handle our SCSS files. Just uncomment that line. Next, we'll enable auto-provide jQuery. That way, jQuery is automatically available where needed, which comes in handy for Bootstrap components. Then we'll add a small tweak to handle image files. We'll use File Loader to make sure any images in our assets/img directory get picked up and compiled properly. We're keeping the rest of the config pretty much default for now. No need to overcomplicate things yet. All right, let's open up our app.js file inside the assets folder. Now we're going to start pulling in the tools we just installed, step by step. First, let's require Bootstrap. That gives us access to all the core UI components. Then we'll import Popper.js, since Bootstrap depends on it for drop-downs, tooltips, and other interactive bits. Next up, jQuery. We'll make sure it's globally available, especially since Bootstrap 5 still leans on it for some legacy functionality. And finally, let's import our custom style sheet, app.scss, so Webpack can compile and include all our styles. That's it. Basic setup done. Time to build. All right, now inside our app.scss file, we'll import the Bootstrap styles directly. This brings in all the default Bootstrap variables, mixins, and core styles, making it easy to build on top of them or override as needed. We can always customize later, but for now, let's just drop in the base import and get things compiling. Next, let's grab the command from the Symfony website to run our new Webpack build. Now, of course, what do we get? A nice little error. And yeah, I had to cut the video short right there. Forgot to stop the recorder. Nature call. So, apologies if the music doesn't line up or things feel a bit off. But hey, real dev life, right? Anyway, let's jump back in and I'll walk you through the fix for that error. Okay, see the problem right there? We're using Sass for our style sheets, not plain CSS. So what we need to do is create a new app.scss file and delete the old app.css. Simple fix. Once that's sorted, we'll run our Webpack build again, and this time it should compile everything nicely. All right, let's make that change and fire it up. And success. We've got our fresh Symfony 7 project up and running with Webpack Encore, Bootstrap, Sass, Popper, jQuery, and a nicely configured asset pipeline. That's it for this episode. In the next one, we'll dive into building out some controllers, applying styles, and setting up a base template to start shaping our UI. If you enjoyed the video or have suggestions on how to improve things, feel free to drop a comment. I always appreciate the feedback. Till next time, happy coding and see you laters.